There's a wild claim making the rounds online that new type of power source, an ion drive could soon double the range of your electric car. Imagine an EV that could travel 800, maybe even 1,000 miles on a single charge. That's the kind of technology that would eliminate range anxiety for good. But is an 800-mile EV truly possible, or is this just science fiction dressed up in a lab coat? The promise of battery that finally lets you drive from Los Angeles to San Francisco and back without stopping to plug in is the holy grail of the EV industry. It's the one breakthrough that could convince millions of drivers to finally make the switch. But is this technology the key? We're going to look into where this sensational claim came from and then pivot to the groundbreaking battery technology that the hype is likely all about. The truth is hiding in a revolutionary new type of battery, often called as ionic battery, but better known to scientists and engineers as the solid state battery. So let's separate myth from reality and find out if an 800-mile EV is really on the horizon. Hello, my name is Shayan, an engineer specialized in electric vehicle development. Let's be honest, the number one fear for anyone considering an EV is range. While today's electric cars are incredible machines, with average ranges now hitting 250 to 400 miles, that nagging voice in the back of your head still asks, what if I run out of the juice? Top tier models like the Lucid Air can already push past 500 miles, which is an amazing feat of engineering. But it comes at a premium price. For the average person, the dream is a car with the same go anywhere convenience as a tank of gas. That's why headlines about a new technology that can double EV range spreads like wildfire. This brings us to the term at the center of the hype, the ion drive. It sounds futuristic, powerful, and exactly like something that could revolutionize our cars. The claim is that these will be the power source that finally delivers an 800-mile range. The truth is, the hype is pointed at the right concept, with the wrong name. The confusion likely comes from the term ionic, while an ion drive is for space. The real revolution is happening in the ionic batteries, specifically solid state batteries. These are the advanced batteries that function by the moving ions, hence the name through a solid material instead of the liquid that's used in the batteries we have today. To understand why this is such a big deal, let's quickly look at how your current EV battery works. A standard lithium ion battery has three main parts: a positive electrode, which is the cathode, a negative electrode, which is the anode, and a liquid electrolyte that separates them. When you charge the battery, lithium ion travel from the cathode to the anode. When you drive, they travel back. This liquid electrolyte is the battery's biggest weakness. It's inflammable, it breaks down over time, and it limits how much energy you can safely pack into the battery. This is where solid-state technology changes the game. It gets rid of that volatile liquid and replaces it with a thin, stable, solid material like a ceramic or a polymer. Think of it like replacing a chaotic, slushing swimming pool with a perfectly structured crystal lattice. This single change unlocks a cascade of benefits. First and most importantly for our 800-mile terrain is energy density. Because the solid electrolyte is more stable, engineers can use more powerful materials for the electrodes, like a pure lithium metal anode. This allows them to pack for more energy into the same amount of space. Early lab results and projections show potential energy density gains of 40 to 50% or even more over current batteries. This is a massive leap forward. There's a safety without a flammable liquid. The risk of a battery fire is drastically reduced. Solid-state batteries are inherently more stable, even when damaged. And third, they promise faster charging and longer lifespan. The solid structure can better withstand the stress of rapid charging and can potentially last for thousands of charge cycles with very little degradation. So, with a 40 to 50% increase in energy density, can solid-state batteries actually double EV range? Let's do the math. If an average EV today gets 300 miles, a 50% boost would take it to 450 miles. That's a fantastic improvement, but it's not 600 miles. However, the story doesn't end there. The projected 40 to 50% increase is just the beginning. Some research into more advanced materials like silicon anodes suggests much higher gains are theoretically possible. The problem is that silicon swells dramatically when it charges, which can destroy the battery. This is one of the many engineering hurdles that still needs to be solved. But a true 800-mile EV isn't just about the battery cells. It's about the entire vehicle system. Solid-state batteries are not only denser, but can also be lighter. A lighter car is a more efficient car, further extending its range. Automakers are already making progress. Toyota, a leader in solid-state research, has laid out a roadmap for its first-generation solid-state batteries, aiming for a range of over 620 miles, or like 1,000 kilometers. A second generation is already in development within a target of 745 miles. But we also have to be realistic. Extreme claims of 10x range are based on very early stage lab experiments that haven't been verified in a real world condition. And even with all this progress, we have seen hypermilling tests achieving incredible feats with current technology. A team of GM engineers recently drove a stock Chevy Silverado EV over 1,000 miles on a single charge under highly controlled conditions, mostly by driving at a constant slow speed of 20 to 25 miles per hour. This shows that massive range is technically possible today, just not practical for everyday driving. The real goal of solid-state technology is to make a long range of around 800 miles practical, affordable, and accessible to everyone. This all sounds amazing, but when can you actually buy a car with a solid-state battery? The transition from a successful lab prototype to mass production is incredibly difficult, expensive, and time-consuming. Automakers and battery companies like QuantumScape, Toyota, Nissan, and BYD are in a fierce race to be the first to crack the code. Right now, in 2026, we are on the cusp of a major shift. Companies are moving from pilot-scale trials to planning for mass production. China is even preparing its first national standards for solid-state batteries, a clear sign that the technology is moving out of the research labs and into the industrial planning. These standards will help clarify terminology and prevent companies from marketing semi-solid batteries as true solid states. However, the timelines are still a few years out. Toyota is targeting a 2027-2028 launch for its first solid-state models. GAC Group has announced plans to have its solid-state batteries in vehicles for small batch trials in 2026, with a gradual mass production ramp-up between 2027 and 2030. BYD is aiming for small batch production in 2027, with a broader availability closer to 2030. Initially, these batteries will be expensive and likely reserved for high-end premium models. It will likely take until after 2030 for costs to come down and for the technology to filter into more mainstream vehicles. In the meanwhile, other battery technologies are also improving. Sodium-ion batteries, for instance, are now entering mass production. While their energy density is lower than the lithium-ion, CATL's new Naxtra sodium-ion battery can already enable an EV range of over 310 miles, which is around 500 kilometers. Their main advantages are lower cost and exceptional performance in extreme cold, retaining over 90% of their capacity even at minus 40 degrees. Battery giant CATL sees a future here where sodium-ion and lithium-ion batteries coexist, with each serving different market segments. So will ion drives double your EV's range? No, because they are made for space. But the real technology behind the hype, solid-state ionic batteries, is very real and holds the keys to a future where an 800-mile EV is not a wild claim, but a reality. The path to getting there is challenging. It requires massive investment, solving complex problems, and scaling up production to millions of units. But the race is on, and the finish line is getting closer. We are likely to see the first solid-state EVs on the road within the next 2 to 3 years, with a gradual rollout into the mainstream market in the early 2030s. These batteries promise to fundamentally change the experience of owning an electric car, eliminating range anxiety, dramatically cutting down the charging times, and making EVs safer than ever. The 800-mile EV isn't a myth. It's an engineering challenge, and it's one that the brightest minds in the industry are on the verge of solving. But what do you think? When do you believe you'll see the first affordable 800-mile EV on showroom floors? Let me know your predictions in the comment below. And if you want to learn more about the battery management systems inside the electric vehicles and how they calculate state of charge and state of health, you can click on the BMS course link in the description. Thank you.